is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over the takeaways that I got from one of the 343 Industries Insider videos, where they talked with a bunch of the game devs about certain topics about the game and answered a bunch of questions from Twitter. And these are kind of the takeaways that I was able to get from it. I would encourage all of you to go watch it yourselves. It's about a 40-minute video, but there's so much insightful and helpful content that's in that video, and there's a lot of things that are making me really excited for Halo Infinite, so let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and talk about the things that aren't going to be in Halo Infinite as of yet or at launch. That will be no playable elites, and the reasoning behind that is they said they wanted to focus on a Spartan story, and it's disappointing, but realistically I'm not too upset about it. It's possible that they could add it down the line. Halo Infinite is going to be a 10-year game after all, so I would expect there to be some sort of Covenant or a Banished update somewhere in the future to fill those needs, I guess. However, that is pretty speculatory, and take that with a grain of salt. That's just kind of my personal thoughts about it. So the devs have also said that dual wielding will not be in the game at launch. They said there is a possibility that they could add dual wielding, but that's going to be more of a thing with time. Also, no guarantee with that, but hopefully we can see that coming in the future, because I think dual wielding is awesome. So now we get to talk about the cool stuff. First of all, the devs have said that they put a lot of emphasis on replay value within missions, and that could be done through how you decide to approach the missions. And they've talked a lot about how these missions are going to be open, and you can take on banished outposts and sort of side objectives before you tackle the main course, or you could go straight to the main course. And there's a lot of different ways to approach these engagements, like flying. There's going to be, flying vehicles and things like that. There's going to be ground vehicles. You can help a squad of Marines help those, and have those Marines help you guys out. And it sounds like a lot of fun and a lot of different ways to engage these fights and add a lot of replay value to the game. So even if, you're not a huge fan of multiplayer, you can go back and replay the campaign, because almost every time you'll play the campaign, you'll have some sort of different experience with how you approach it. Along with approaching fights, they've also mentioned that, the enemies that are going to have more nighttime enjoyable fighting, kind of like with the mission in Halo Reach where you're fighting at night with the snipers. You're gonna have jackals with their shields, grunts with like methane, things like that, things that are gonna make those nighttime engagements a lot more fun and a lot more visually appealing to your eyes, which I think is also a really nice feature that they are adding to the game. So basically, it's going to be kind of like a rotating cycle of enemies. You can have different enemies at night, different enemies during the day, and I think that's going to make replaying the campaign so much fun, and I honestly am so excited for it, especially since we're going to have co-op and split screen and things like that, and I am so excited for the campaign. Another interesting thing that the developers said they were working on within the campaign is, so the environments that you're going to be fighting in, it's all going to be the main biome of the Pacific Northwest, which is kind of like that Washington, Seattle area. And with that, instead of going into different biomes such as like, the Arctic and the desert, they're going to be doing sub-biomes of the Pacific Northwest, like swamps, grasslands, and then alpine with like pine trees and a little bit of snow once you get into those higher areas of elevation, which I think is going to be a good thing. It's going to make the transitions between the fighting areas a lot better and a bit more smooth and natural. The developers have also said with these environments, they're going to be trying to tell stories with the landscape and what happened here, because you are going to be taking place after this big fight that happened, and they're going to try to tell stories with like a crash pelican in a grassland and things like that. So it's going to add a lot more subtle storytelling on top of the story that's already there, and you'll be able to find audio logs and things like that, which is always a super awesome thing. And I always loved the environmental stories that were told, like with the game Halo 3 ODST. So I think this is an awesome thing, and I'm very excited to see what stories they can tell with the environment. And kind of the cherry on top with what they talked about in this dev stream is that there's going to be a big focus on a lot of sandbox elements with like the equipment, weapons, enemy types, enemy variants, vehicles, environmental area, and it's going to be focused more on building a nice sandbox for you, the player, to be able to approach and engage these fights any way you see fit. And I think it's going to be amazing for the campaign, and I'm so excited to see how it turns out. Overall, I'd like to say that this sounds really awesome, but it still leaves a little bit to be desired with lack of dual wielding or playable elites, but I'm willing to wait and see how the game turns out when it comes out, and they could add these things later down the line, which would be nice. It's disappointing that it can't be there at launch, but with everything that they have hyped up so far, I am going to be very satisfied with what the game is so far. Anyway, that's all we got for this video, guys. I appreciate the devs for being open with us and giving us some more stuff to talk about. Yeah, that's all I got for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, slap like, make sure you're subscribed, and stay hydrated. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out, boys.